All right, so let us get started. Welcome everyone. Should be live, should be getting set here. Going to be jumping in to talk about some of the results that went down on this first weekend in track and field. There's a couple results that are going to be going that really kicked us off, and yeah, just wanted to highlight them. We're going to see how we can kind of talk about, of course, the big performances, but then also some of the hopefully smaller performances. But we'll just dive in across the board and see, what we got. But we'll wait a second as a few more people jump in. But so it was just the first weekend of track and field across, the world in terms of 2024. Of course, we had a couple meets that went down in December, right? The first 2 weeks, or second and third week of December, whatever it is. Couple results you might want to talk about from there as well. But definitely want to highlight some of the things that went down as we really kick off 2024. A lot of athletes are preparing for the Olympic season. Of course, the NCAA season is going to be pretty big, as this is the first NCAAs that's going to be happening in the Northeast. It's going to be going down in Boston, Massachusetts at the track and New Balance. That's going to be the first one to happen, I think, since since the 70s or something like that. So we got a lot for sure. Oh yeah. Shout out to you, Gary. Right? Yeah, we got Tia Clayton. Yeah, Jamaicans went off. Right? Jamaicans went off. I know Sharika was supposed to run or something like that, but yeah, Jamaicans kind of went off. So yeah, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna dive into that as well. So we got a lot. All right, let me get started here. We got a couple things to jump off with. Yeah, so we're gonna start off with a couple things. We got the 60s, we got some 300s, we got some men's 60s, women's 200s, we got some pole vaults, we got some hurdles, and all kinds of things. So should be pretty quick to go off a couple things today. But first off, I want to talk about women's 60-meter dash. So we got Aleia Hobbs in the women's 60-meter dash. She kind of kicked things off running 7.11 seconds down at LSU. So Aleia Hobbs, she had been already dominating last year indoors. She really went off indoors. And this year, she already started off running 7.12 in the heats, and then she ran 7.11 in the finals at LSU. So really good start to her season. And relative to other seasons, we know what she did last year. I think she ran 6.94 seconds, but she's already kicking off with 7.11 and 7.12. Of course, those are world leads, right? We're just getting started with certain things, but this relative to what she did last year, this is January 12th. Last year in 2023, she didn't run this early, but on January 28th, she went off and ran 7.05 seconds. So this is like 2 weeks later than when she's starting right now. So if she's already starting running, 7.11, that's a pretty good, that's setting herself up for success. Who knows if she runs next week, she runs the next 2 weeks or whatever it may be, right? That's going to really set her up for some good success. Again, she ran 6.94 seconds last year, which was the American record. I think it was like number 3 all time indoors at least. So who knows what she's going to be able to do. In addition to that, she actually didn't run at the last World Indoor Championship. So 2022, there was the Serbia in Belgrade World Indoor Championships, and she didn't compete there. She didn't go to Serbia. She didn't compete at World Indoors. All she did was 3 indoor meets, and then that was it. She ended off her season. So who knows if she's going to be going to World Indoors this year? It's going to be going down in Glasgow, Scotland. So it's very possible we see, Aleia Hobbs actually take things through indoors to the World Indoor Championships. If she's already starting off with 7.11, decent indication that she's probably a little bit ahead of pace, at least indoors. Now, who knows how this is going to translate outdoors, right? We saw that indoors she was killing it, and then outdoors, though, she got injured. I think it was at USA. So she was super consistent. Then she got injured, at USA's, wasn't able to make the team. So who knows how this is going to translate. But again, relative to some previous years, 7.11, if we go back to 2022, same weekend or so, she started off with 7.14. Prior to that, she ran 7.19. So she's already kind of ahead of pace in terms of, relative to previous seasons. So Aleia Hobbs, I think this is a good, at least just indication in terms of where she's starting off and what she might be able to do as she kind of progresses through the season. I'm definitely going to be seeing if I'm going to be seeing if she wants to run World Indoors, and we're going to keep a lookout for that. But that's going to be pretty dope, at least just a kickoff for Aleia Hobbs. You also have Makarawu Briscoe. Shout out to her. She ran 7.24. She's been super consistent. At the last World Indoor Championship, she actually got the silver medal in the 60-meter dash, actually beating out a couple people. So Makarawu Briscoe might be one to look out for. 7.24 is not one of her best times, but regardless, she's run, I think, she's run 6.99 seconds. So she's run sub 7 seconds. We're going to see, what that actually gets her in terms of, the progression through the indoor season and, if she's going to be able to do some good things. But let's stick on those 60s for a second and let's jump over to a couple other women who were running 60s. There was a few throughout, nothing too crazy. We did have this Patricia van der Winken from Luxembourg, right? 7.117. Kalia Jackson running in the NCAA, 7.19 as well at the Clemson indoor meet. And then Alyssa Colbert, right? 7.19. So a couple women under 7.2. But we did have, and I got to pull this up. I'm going to see if I can find Tia Clayton. I know she did run outdoors. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, she did run outdoors. Let me pull up that outdoors in the 60-meter dash. Let's see if we have it, but I don't know if they actually have it. But I know that Tia Clayton was running outdoors. Let's see if I could pull it up. Tia Clayton. So she was running outdoors in the 60-meter dash, and she ran 7.22 seconds. This is a pretty good result for her. I don't know if it's been posted. Yeah, it hasn't been posted for 2024 yet. But Tia Clayton, she's been putting down, she put down some good results last year. She's, of course, going to be hugely on the rise. She's only turning, she's going to be 19, she's still 19. She's going to turn 20 at the end of this year in August. She's going to have her sister, and then Brianna Williams. You have a plethora of other young Jamaican women who are definitely going to be on the rise. I don't know if any of the Jamaicans are going to be running world indoors. So if we look at, let me pull up the 2022 Belgrade Indoor Championships. So last time we did have Sharika Jackson as well as Brianna Williams run world indoors in the 60-meter dash. But they unfortunately, neither of them made the podium. I think Brianna Williams just got 5th place and then Sharika Jackson got 6th place. So I'm not sure if any Jamaicans are going to be running at the World Indoor Championships, but if they do, of course, they're going to be in the mix, right? Don't forget, like years ago, I think it was like 2016, Elaine Thompson-Herah, I think she got on the podium, right? Because she got the bronze medal there before she went on to win the double at the Olympics. 2014, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, she won the gold medal. Prior to that, in 2012, Veronica Campbell-Brown won the gold. I think prior to that, in 2010, Veronica Campbell-Brown won the gold again. So a lot of Jamaicans, they can dip their toes in. But again, I'm looking at Aleia Hobbs. If she's able to actually stay consistent through the year and go for world indoors, she might be a problem. We're going to see what happens. And yeah, good note, right? I really hope Aleia Hobbs stays healthy this year. I think the U.S. woman could take the 4x100 world record down with her on it. Jay, that's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a good competition between the USA and Jamaica when we're talking about the 4x1. We all know, at least in my opinion, Jamaica, just on paper, they should dominate the 4x1, right? Elaine Thompson-Herah with her 10.54, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce 10.60, Sharika Jackson, right, 10.65. So on paper, they should dominate and obliterate the world record. But we've seen, at least over the past 2 championships, that the USA, with slower teams on paper, but with better handoffs, they've been able to not only win gold, but then also run some fast times. So I think the 4x1s are going to be super competitive. But once we see the full season unfold, once we see kind of everyone come into play, I think this is definitely going to the USA versus Jamaica is going to heat up for sure. So that's definitely going to be really hot for sure. Now, on to the couple other results I did want to highlight. In the 300-meter dash, now we saw a really big performance actually in December from Jamisha Ford of South Carolina. So Jamisha Ford really threw down in the 300, running 35.83 seconds. Why is this important? Well, first of all, Jamisha Ford is still just a freshman at the University of South Carolina, still just a freshman. In her first race in the NCAA in college, she runs 35.83 seconds. Now, how does this match up contextually in terms of like all-time marks? Well, look all time. This is the top performances all time in the women's NCAA women's 300. Jamisha Ford moved all the way up to number 2 all time in the 300-meter dash, only behind Abby Steiner's 35.80 from 2 years ago, right? We know Abby Steiner, of course, went on to do amazing things, but for her to be a freshman, getting just 0.03 of a second off the NCAA record. And additionally, she tied the previous record that Merlene Ottey had set all the way back in 1981. This record from 1981 stood for literally 40 years before Abby Steiner was able to break it. This is a huge mark. And for Jamisha Ford to not only equal that record, but then get super close to Abby Steiner's record. And then also, she's only a freshman. So this really bodes well for whatever she's going to be able to do going forward. I think she did make another attempt just this past weekend, and she ran 36 flat, which already is, again, this is number 5, the 5th fastest performance ever. But for her to be super consistent in this realm, listen, Jamisha Ford is definitely going to be a problem if she remains consistent, if she continues like this. Whatever event she chooses, whether it's a 200 to 400, of course, she's going to be a huge, huge problem. And again, she's only a freshman competing at the University of South Carolina. A lot of years ahead of her to see, what she's able to really, really put down. 300 meters for Jamisha Ford from South Carolina. Couple things on the men's 300 meter front. We did have a few results that went down. Nothing too crazy notable, but we did see Kennedy Leitner in the 300 for the men's side. He managed to put down a really good mark, 32.45 seconds. This is, a high quality mark if we're talking about, men's 300 meter dash all time. 32.45 seconds for Kennedy Leitner, senior at Kentucky. This actually makes him, I think it's number 5 all time in NCAA history when we're talking about the 300 meter dash. Number 4 all time in the 300 meter dash. So not too far off the NCAA record of 31.99 seconds. So this is a pretty good mark for Kennedy Leitner. Again, he's a senior at University of Kentucky. We can quickly take a look at some of the previous marks that he'd put down and, where he stood in terms of his NCAA performances. Didn't make the final outdoors in the 200, but indoors, didn't make the final. If he's already kind of improving in terms of the 300 meter dash this year, this really does bode well for, what he might be able to do. Last year, he ran 32.85 seconds in the 300. Now he's already 4/10 of a second ahead of that. Pretty good pace if we're talking about, 300 meter progression moving into the 200 meters, hopefully later this season. Also, we did see a couple others. I know we did note that I think it was Matthew Bowling. So Matthew Bowling, he actually ran a 300, and I think this was at the Clemson meet. I'm going to pull this up to see Matthew Bowling. I know people want to hype Matthew Bowling a lot, but he's making some decent progress. Yeah, so we saw Matthew Bowling. He ran 32.84 seconds. He actually got beat out by Brian Frost, who's also a professional athlete, 32.36. Technically, this was Matthew Bowling's first professional race in a sense, right? We know he ran at the New York City Grand Prix, he ran at USA's, he ran at the Budapest World Championships, but he, wasn't professional yet. So this is kind of his first professional race. He's competing with, he's training under, Allian Francique. So Fred Curley's previous coach. That's who Matt Bowling is now training under, and I think they're training at the University of South Carolina. But Matt Bowling, 32.84. It's nothing too crazy. What this kind of tells me is that Bowling should really, really continue to focus on the 400. He has that strength. He has that speed endurance. I think he's been trying in the 100 and 200 previously, but now that he's kind of found his rhythm in the 400, of course, he made the USA team, at least on the relay, got that mixed relay gold medal and the world record and everything like that. So we're going to see, but Matthew Bowling, good performance for him relatively. Brian Frost, I think his 32.36 was actually a really good performance. I think that ranks him number 14 all time when we're talking about the 300 meters. Let me just pull up the men's 300 meters when we're talking about all-time performances. Both the men's are really, really making some good performances. Yeah, so Brian Frost, you have Kennedy Leitner, so they're leading the world right now. But yeah, these are some good performances that we're looking at in terms of 300 meters. Real quick, Jay, like you said, I think it's interesting projecting her progression, being that she's a 400 meter runner as opposed to a 1-2 girl. Yeah, Jamisha, she kind of does have that. She's more of a 400 meter runner, right, as opposed to the 200, but we'll see how that kind of lays out. Maybe she's going to be a really good 2-4 runner, and we'll see her kind of double at NCAAs. I don't think anyone has doubled at NCAAs in the 200 and 400 successfully in a long time. I know in 2018, Sadie McLaughlin-Lavrodi, she got second in the 400 and maybe 5th in the 200. But I don't know if anyone has successfully doubled in a long time. We'll see what she's able to do in the 400, though. This might be some really good progression for her. P. Chemist, right? Adeja Hodge, she ran really well in the 300. Adeja Hodge, you have Mia Bryant Pedersen. A lot of the high school girls are really, really putting down some good performances. And Adeja Hodge is still super young, right? She's still super young. So we're going to see what she does. And she'll be at the Olympics because she represents, I forget I think it's the British Virgin Islands that she represents, but we'll see what she's able to put down, right? Does bowling have a sponsor? I'm actually not too sure if Matthew Bowling has a sponsor. I know, again, he's training with Allianz Francaise at the University of South Carolina, but I'm not sure if he has a sponsor yet. Let me see if I could find if he actually is sponsored. No, I don't think he's actually sponsored yet. So I'm going to pull up just a quick little thing. Yeah, I don't think Matthew Bowling is sponsored yet, but he does have a couple NIL deals and different things like that. But we'll see. Matthew Bowling, we'll see if he makes some progress. Again, 400 meters, I think that's the move for Matthew Bowling as we kind of go through, 2024 for sure. I think the 400 is his best bet to make a team when we're talking about the USA team. But yeah, so a couple others. Let's just talk about a few other results I did want to highlight. We did have the men's 60. Now, the men's 60 had some decent performances, nothing too crazy yet when we're talking about the 60-meter dash. But we did see DeAndre Swint. He has the world lead, has the NCAA lead, all that. 6.52 seconds for DeAndre Swint. He's been doing pretty decent. I think that's a personal best for DeAndre Swint, right? 6.52 seconds. Last year, he was 10th, I think, at NCAA indoors. Yeah, he didn't make the final, got 10th place in the semifinals at NCAA indoors. So we're going to see. He's already significantly ahead of pace if we're talking about 6.52 seconds, running a personal best first weekend in January. We'll see if he's able to make some progress. Didn't even qualify outdoors in an individual event. So we'll see if he's really able to step things up. He also had his teammate, I think his teammate just finished behind him. That was Sean Barber. Yeah, they both compete for Texas Tech. So Sean Barber, 6.53 seconds, just behind him as well. Pretty good. Again, also, he was in junior college before. Sean Brown, I apologize. Sean Brown was in junior college, and this is his first foray into NCAA D1. So 6.53, nothing too crazy for both of them, but really, really does highlight kind of the progression that, both of them hopefully will see throughout the 2024 season. I did want to highlight Kobe Hilton. Kobe Hilton. Now, we know last year, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, but he was kind of going crazy in terms of the 600. He was 60-meter dash. He was making a lot of noise. He had run 6.51 seconds. This year, I think for a minute, maybe for one day, he had the world lead at 6.53 seconds, ran up in Nebraska. That's actually pretty close to his personal best of 6.51. And let me just pull up Kobe Hilton. This bodes decently well, right? I think that he's one who's not like a top tier athlete when we're talking about the 100-meter dash, when we're talking about the sprints, but he's definitely going to be one to, probably go for the indoor championships for the USA team. And maybe if he's able to keep progressing, we might see him run 6.4, maybe get onto the podium. Who knows? But Kobe Hilton, decent 6.53 opener, pretty good considering he's only 25 years old. He has a lot to go. He has a lot to go and might make some noise, specifically world indoors. I don't know or specifically USA indoors and potentially world indoors. I don't know if he's going to be able to really break through outdoors. He's going to have to significantly improve his personal best from 10.14. That is a lot to go to get to the 10 or to the 9.8s, 9.7s and all that. It's probably going to take 9.8 to make the USA Olympic team, and then probably 9.7 to get on the podium and win gold or whatever it may be. So we'll see what happens with Kobe Hilton, but really, really good performance overall to just start off the 2024 season this year for him. Let me see here. So Christopher Morales Williams of Georgia is just turning 20 and ran a Canadian record with his 32.47 and won your senior national championships in the 400 as a U20 athlete. That's a really good note. Yeah, Christopher Morales Williams, never actually heard of him, but to run 32.47, that's a really, really good performance. And if you look, I'm going to pull this up just in terms of all-time performances. If we're talking about the 300 meters, he might actually be up there if we're talking about, that's good, Christopher Morales Wilson. So 32.47, that makes him number 23 all-time in the 300-meter dash in history, indoors. So that's a really good, really, really good performance for him. And if he's just turning 20 years old and he's making this kind of progress, this might bode well for what he's able to do. I'm assuming that, I know Canada has a decently strong, they're really strong in the sprints between Aaron Brown and, Andre DeGrasse, but in the 400, they've always had a strong 4x4 team for the most part. But if you're talking about someone running, running decently 32.47, 45.8. I mean, that's pretty good. So this is a good shout out. Thanks for kind of shouting him out. This could be a really, really good year for him for sure. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. But nice. So couple others I wanted to note as well. In the women's 200-meter dash, and definitely let me know any other performances that you want to highlight, but just going to go through a couple. But in the women's 200, we actually did have some decent performances as well. Jason Spears, so competing for Tennessee, she really threw down with a 22.88 in the 200. This is a world lead, of course, NCAA lead as well, but this is a good performance to kind of set her up going into the 2024 indoor season. She's already a senior. Last year, indoors, she finished 3rd place in the 60-meter dash. So she got 3rd place in the final, 2nd place in the heats, but then 3rd place in the final. And then she also finished, she just missed making the final last year in the 200. And this is indoors. So for her to finish 9th place, her personal best is 22.80 seconds indoor. Now she's already at 22.88. So she's already ahead of schedule. Just to kind of double back, if we look indoors to see where she started off running 23.24 at the same time last year. Then she ran a couple more 23s. It wasn't until SECs that she broke 23 seconds. And then she got to NCAAs and she ran 22.8. So if she's already running 22.88 as her season opener, this bodes very, very well for what she's going to be able to do. We can see that outdoors, she was able to run, she finished 3rd place in the final in the 100 and then 4th place in the final in the 200. So Jason Sears, looks like she's going to be a problem when talking about the 200. And then who knows when we get to USA's outdoors as well, right? She's competing for Tennessee, but who knows if she's able to dip under, she's already has a sub 11 performance. She could get to 10.8. She could get to, sub 22. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. Don't forget in the 2020 Olympic trials, we had Tamara Clark and Anavia Battle. Both of them went under 22 seconds and Anavia Battle made the team, right? I think Tamara Clark finished 4th place just behind Anavia Battle. Allison Felix, I think, finished 5th place behind them. But Jason Sears, very, very strong performance to start off the 2024 season. Going to bode well to see what she's able to do. And then along with that, on the men's 200-meter side, decent performances as well. But we did see some. Oh yes, this is a good point. So we saw some guys from New Mexico Junior College, and they actually represent Zimbabwe. This is a really, really big performance. 20.29 for let me make sure I pronounce his name correctly, but Makarawu. I gotta apologies for pronunciation, but 20.29 seconds indoors in his first meet of the year. This is a very, very, very big performance for him. 20.29 is not only one of the best junior college performances ever, this is one of the best NCAA performances ever. But again, he competes for junior college. So he's not even in the regular NCAA. If we look at kind of the all-time marks, if I pull up the NCAA all-time marks in just the 200 meters for the men, you can see that 20.29 would rank you as one of the best all time. This would rank him as number 17 all time in the overall NCAA. But right here, he's still in junior college. We're literally talking about a junior college athlete running NCAA world-class times, right? There was a time period where you were looking at names like Xavier Carter running 20.30, Walter Dix 20.27, right? This is someone who's on that comparable level in terms of performances and might be able to really make some progress. Again, he competes for Zimbabwe internationally. So very likely, if you're running 20.29 indoors, then you're very likely going to be, on the Olympic team, potentially competing for, a spot, in the Olympics. I don't know if it's making the finals. We have to see his progression. Still just a sophomore, but we'll see. Also, do have to caveat, this was in, at Texas Tech, slight altitude, but we know that at the end of the day, NCAA's, it doesn't matter too much, right? They ran at Albuquerque last year. So keep a lookout. 20.29 at junior college. Do not sleep on this performance. Really, really amazing performance for him here. And then additionally, I did want to note that in the 400 meters, we also saw Donald, and again, apologies in terms of pronunciation, but he got the NCAA lead at 46.10 seconds. So this is teammate at New Mexico Junior College, also competes for Zimbabwe. 46.10. This is a good performance for him. And what this kind of tells me is that Zimbabwe might be, throwing things down. You don't see too many top athletes coming out, especially from the southeastern Africa, in terms of sprinters specifically. You do have, South Africa with a plethora of different guys. You, of course, do have Letsile Tobogo coming from Botswana. And then, of course, you have Ferdinand Omiala in Kenya. But when you're looking at countries like Zimbabwe, Malawi, Zambia, Tanzania, you don't have too many top athletes. If y'all remember, I think it was back in like the 2010s or so, competing for Texas A&M. I forget his name. Oh, Gerald Fury, right? Gerald Fury competed for Zambia, and he was one of the most prominent athletes. So, if we were able to see a couple other guys making waves, again, if you're talking about running 20.29 seconds as a sophomore, very, very big, very, very big deal. Already outdoors, he run 10.5 seconds. Listen, he's going to be a problem. Definitely keep a lookout for, what this guy is going to be able to do and what Zimbabwe might be able to do as well. They might be able to make a little bit of noise when we're talking about some of the sprints here. Yeah, definitely some good guys here. But yeah, this is a good note, right? The 200 meters is wide open for women. A lot of the fast times outside of consistent runners such as Julian Alfred and Favour Philly were fast due to altitude. That's a good point. There's a lot of women, I think, right now that are definitely in the mix when we're talking about the 200-meter dash. We might be able to see them really dip into, the low 22-second range for the women. I think 22 low definitely might be the bar in terms of women who are really going to be putting down some good performances. Julian Alfred, Favour Philly, they kind of pushed the boundaries. Of course, Abby Steiner before them, they pushed the boundaries of what was going down when we're talking about the 200. But I think we're going to see some good things. It's a very, very wide open field when we're talking about the 200. We'll kind of see how things play out. But yeah, speaking of the 200 and speaking of sprinting in general, on the women's side, Shanti Jackson, first NCAA performance for her in the 400, 52.10 seconds. Nothing too crazy, right? Again, first performance for her. That's a personal best for her as well in the 400. She's really just building, but we know her as a 100, 200 meter, performer. She's likely going to be a serious threat and probably one of the top contenders when going for the NCAA indoor title in the 200, probably in the 60 as well. But we're going to see. We're going to see what happens with these, with Shanti Jackson. A lot of progress that she's hopefully going to be making. So we'll see. But 52.10, definitely wanted to give her a little shout out at that point there. And of course, like I noted on the men's side, I had the 400s. Nothing too crazy for the most part outside of the sprints, but yeah, let's talk about those 60-meter hurdles right now. We got a lot of things to talk about. Oh, yeah, Shanti's biggest issue is staying healthy. She's going to have to really work to stay healthy. I think, it's good that she's young for now. One thing that I always think about with Shanti Jackson is how much progress are you going to be making super, super quick. I definitely want to see her progress. I definitely want to see her really throw down some amazing performances. But now that she's out of high school, is she going to be running, less races? Is she going to be dipping into some of the pro races that are on the circuit, whether it's indoors or outdoors, right? We see some NCAA athletes do that. She did that last year a lot, competing for, at invitational races, indoors and outdoors. I think she finished, top 6 at USA's outdoors in the 100-meter dash. So Shanti Jackson, she's definitely going to have some, real big eyes on her in terms of watching her progression, watching to see what she's able to do. But it's going to be a very, very, telling year for her. But yeah, let's talk about those hurdles. So Devynne Banks, Grace Stark, Devin Charlton, Masai Russell, they kind of went crazy. Let me pull up the women's 60-meter hurdles. There were some amazing performances across the board when we're talking about the 60-meter hurdles. This past weekend, right? And some amazing performances. Devin Charlton, 7.88 seconds to open her season. Now, and then right behind her, Masai Russell. Let's just talk about Devin Charlton real quick first. Devin Charlton was dominating for a lot of the indoor season. Of course, there was no World Indoors last year, but Devin Charlton starting off running 60-meter hurdles, 7.88 seconds. That's coming after rounds. Huge performance for her. Huge performance. If we look at some of the previous years, last year, she started off running 7.97 in the hurdles. The previous year in 2022, indoors, she started off running, she didn't even do that well, 8.37. She didn't even get down until, 8 seconds, right? So we can see she is significantly ahead of pace. And if we remember last year, Devon Charlton competing for the Bahamas, she actually went on to have a very, very consistent outdoor season. National record across the board when we're talking about the hurdles. Outdoors, she ran 12.49 seconds outdoors. This was huge, right? This was huge. And then additionally, I know she finished fourth place at the World Championships, 12.52, or I apologize, 12.44 national record. And then she finished fourth place in the final, 12.52 seconds. So she is very much in the mix when we're talking about performances to potentially make it onto the podium. Of course, Jasmine Camacho Quinn. Of course, Nia Ali. Of course, Toby Amusan, Daniel Williams. A plethora of women, right? Aleia Johnson. There's so many women who are in the mix when talking about the 100-meter hurdles. But Devynne Charlton, she is very much in that conversation. Fourth place at the World Championships last year. And she's already starting off her 2024 season with a world lead of 7.88 seconds in the 60-meter hurdles. She might go out and actually win World Indoor Championships, depending on who actually runs. Might be a very, very strong. Who knows? This is going to be a very competitive. But who do you think would be better, Charlton or Russell? Let's quickly talk about Russell, because Masai Russell, she went crazy as well. And then we're going to get to Grace Stark. Masai Russell just behind Devynne Charlton, 7.89 seconds. So you're talking about just a nudging between both of these women, 7.88 to 7.89. And Masai Russell, she made the World Championship team to Budapest last year. She unfortunately didn't, she hit a hurdle and wasn't able to, she hit a hurdle in Budapest, wasn't able to finish. This was really tough because she'd been hitting hurdles, kind of throughout the season at certain points. But if you're talking about opening up your season with 7.89, Masai Russell is on a roll. Last year, she opened up with 8.02, and then she went down to 7.92. She, until SECs, right? She didn't run until 7.79. She is significantly ahead of pace. Significantly ahead of pace relative to last year. The previous year, right? Masai Russell, she was running 8 seconds throughout the entire year. So we can tell that Masai, already out of Kentucky, she just finished last year. This is her first professional year. She is really taking advantage of the fact that she made Team USA last year and is now going to be, going for some big things. Again, I don't know if she's going to be running World Indoors. It's a mixed bag in terms of, who really is going to be going for World Indoors. But Devynne Charlton, Masai Russell, they put down some amazing performances. But then Grace Stark, the return of Grace Stark. Now, Grace Stark, someone correct me. I'm not sure if Grace Stark is she still in the, oh yeah, she's still a senior. Okay. So Grace Stark, 7.97. She is looking good at this point. If she's talking about opening up with 7.97 seconds, coming off multiple years of setbacks, she had injuries. Last year in 2023, I don't think she competed at, she didn't compete well, throughout the season, unfortunately, due to some setbacks and injuries. And I'm not even sure she ran indoor championships. Yeah, she ran SEC indoors, but then she actually didn't make it to the NCAA indoor championships. She did do well to get outdoors and then, of course, finish 8th at USA's. But Grace Stark, she's already setting herself up very, very well, opening up in 7.97 seconds. Starting things off very, very well. The hurdles are going to be super, super competitive. And if we just look back, I think it was 2022. Yeah, she started off with 8.11, and then she got to 7.86. So getting back into things. Yep. Good note, Jay, that at SEC's her freshman year, that's when she broke her leg. That was really, really tragic because if we all remember, I think it was Grace Stark, it was Akira Nugent, Aleia Armstrong. There was a couple women that year that were really dominating. And then, of course, Grace Stark got injured and she was unable to compete well. But we're going to see what Grace Stark is able to do when, the season really progresses. This was a big, big year, big start for Grace Stark. Do want to give a shout out to Akira Nugent. Yeah, Akira Nugent, she's going to be a problem as well, right? I know she didn't do exactly as she wanted to last year when we're talking about the at the Budapest finals, though she did make the finals, which was really, really big. I'm going to pull up what she did, Akira Nugent. Last year, she not only won NCAA indoors and broke the NCAA record. She didn't run the hurdles yet, only ran 7.3 in the 60-meter dash. But last year, Akira Nugent from Jamaica, literally one of the greatest athletes we're talking about when talking about the hurdles right now. Last year, indoors in the 60-meter hurdles, she won NCAA indoors and broke the NCAA record, running 7.72. Outdoors, she won NCAA outdoors as well. Again, it's Sakura Nugent with 12.25 seconds and broke the NCAA record. Her and Masai Russell were kind of going back and forth. Got second at Jamaican Championships and then finished 5th at the Budapest World Championships. This is her first major world championships at the senior level, and she finished 5th place. Listen, there's going to be a problem. And if we double check her personal best, so she has personal best of 7.20 seconds from last year. Already, she's run this year 7.34. So starting off pretty well. We're going to see what she does as she progresses. This women's hurdles, I think y'all can agree. Every single year, the hurdles are super, super, super competitive. This year is no different. This year is no different. So shout out to all these women. Masai Russell and Devynne are cutting their indoor season short since the big meets are very close outdoors. That's a good no. Okay, so it's interesting. It's unfortunate because I like to see the women and the men and pretty much everybody. I like to see them kind of go for indoors. I know if we look back, I'm just going to pull up the 2018. I think it was 2018. We did see, and I'm probably going to do a video on this, but we did see that Kendra Harrison, Christine Manning, a couple of them did run the indoor championships, and Kenny Harrison had a really, really good year. I think in 2022, we had a couple women as well, right? Devynne Charlton, she got silver, Gabby Cunningham. So there's a couple women who ran. Brittany Anderson, right? She got the, the silver medal at the World Championships in 2022. So someone like Brittany Anderson, she ran indoors, then went to the World Championships, ran outdoors. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people should take the chance to run, the World Indoor Championships and then go outdoors. Yeah, you finish in March, take the time off, and then go on to run the Olympic Games. If I go back to 2012, you had a plethora. Sally Pearson, this is a great example. Sally Pearson from Australia, gold medal indoors in the 60-meter hurdles, 7.73 seconds, American record. Guess what Sally Pearson did that same year in 2012? She won world indoors, and then she also won the Olympic gold medal in the 100-meter hurdles. Like, honestly, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say you can translate from both indoors and outdoors. If you check out the recent video I just did, right, I just spoke about how in 1999, Maurice Green did the double of 60-meter indoors and then 100-meter outdoors in 1999. 2012, Justin Gatlin, he won the 60 meters indoors, and then he also went on to win the bronze medal at the Olympics outdoors in the 100. So it's not far-fetched. I know people want to downplay indoors, say it's too close, it's like too tough. To a degree, it can be, but listen, you can use it as a tune-up. Use it as a tune-up. There's some athletes who just simply train through indoors and they just, compete. So who knows? But I would love to see imagine we saw Grace Stark. Not Grace Stark. Imagine we saw Devynne Charlton, Masai Russell, Sakura Nugent, all of them line up at the World Indoor Championships. That would be huge. So who knows? But we'll see if things actually do pan out. But some great performances when talking about the women's 60-meter hurdles, especially as we go into 2024. It's going to be a pretty big year. All right. Last thing I did want to talk about was just the pole vaults. Now, there was a couple pole vault performances that went down. They're pretty decent across the board. We did see, who was it? Oh, Sandy Morris. So Sandy Morris was able to put down a pretty good performance in the pole vault, world lead of 4.82 seconds. This is at the pole vault summit where you saw it's really just only pole vaults. But yeah, Sandy Morris, 4.82 meters to get the world lead in the pole vault. I think these are technically unconfirmed for whatever reason. This mark and this meet isn't confirmed in for whatever reason, but she put down some great performances. This is a world lead, of course. She actually beat out Katie Moon. Katie Moon is, of course, the Olympic gold medalist, the world champion. So this is a really good performance for Katie Moon. But then additionally, Sandy Morris, she missed the podium last year and at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. So hopefully we're going to see her maybe make a lot more progress and potentially get herself back onto the podium. If you look at Sandy Morris and kind of the progression that she's had, I'm just going to bring up the 2020 Olympics. Sandy Morris didn't make the podium in the pole vault, which I'm going to pull up very quickly here. But we did see her make the podium. Apologies, I'm going to bring up, I think 2016, Sandy Morris did get the silver medal. And then also at the 2022 World Championships, 2019, 2017, she's been super consistent in the pole vault, always getting those silver medals. But if we look indoors, Sandy Morris, 2018 World Champion, 2022 defending champion, and then silver medal back in 2016. So she's a defending champion going into the World Indoor Championships. Listen, she's gonna be a big problem. She's gonna be a big problem. But huge shout out to Sandy Morris. And then of course I did want to shout out Chris Nielsen. So Chris Nielsen, he actually put down let's see if I can find Chris Nielsen, but Chris Nielsen, he also got the world lead in the pole vault. Wanted to give him a quick shout out, 5.90 meters. This was a pretty decent performance overall for Nielsen as well. Let's see. Oh, maybe they don't have, there we go, Chris Nielsen. So 5.90 meters, pretty decent performance as well. He's going to be one definitely looking out for, looking to see if he can get onto the podium at World Indoors. He might be a problem both indoors and out. If we kind of, I'm just going to bring up Chris Nielsen and his pole vault stats, but he's been super, super consistent across the board when talking about the pole vault. 2020 Olympics, got the silver medal. 2022, got the silver medal at the World Championships and got the bronze medal at last year's World Champs. And then indoors at 2022, defending bronze medalist. So Chris Nielsen, pole vault, I mean, he's probably not going to win gold, right? Mondo is the most dominant athlete, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of plays out with the pole vault. But yeah, so overall, just a couple highlights, not too much. I think most of y'all agree that this was just the first kind of opening weekend for track and field in 2024. Had a couple things in December, but now we're going into January. Things are going to start picking up very, very, very quickly. NCAA's is going to be right around the corner, and we're going to see the pro athletes also just kicking things off. But yeah, a couple good things. Oh, yes, Masai Russell, she initially, I think she did, but I think, Jay, you're right, that she isn't running Millrose due to the turnaround to outdoors. Yeah, that's a good point. I think she did call that out, that it was too quick of a turnaround. Again, it's unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen her going up against a lot of these athletes. Danielle Williams is going to be running at Millrose and a couple other women. So I don't know. We'll see how things kind of play out. And I think Kenny Harrison might be at Millrose too. But this season is going to be picking up. It's already January 16th. In 2 weeks, we have the Dr. Sander invite. So that's going to be coming up in a couple weeks. There's a couple distance races and then some field events. And then the week after that, the first weekend of February, we're up in Boston, right? I'm going to be there in Boston. I'm going to be, covering the meet. So definitely stay tuned for all that. But yeah, Fred versus Noah Lyles. That is going to be wild. That is going to be wild. I mean, what do y'all think? If we're talking about Fred versus Noah Lyles, Fred Carlie, Noah Lyles, what do y'all think is going to go down? Is Fred going to get the win? That's his 60-meter opener. Or is Noah Lyles going to get the win? He's dominated, right? It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a very, very tough one to see. But yeah, Fred versus Noah Lyles in Boston. We're also going to have a couple other races there, right? Gabby Thomas is going to be running. That's going to be Boston. But Millrose is also going to be very big. All these meets I'm definitely going to be at. So stay tuned for all that. But big races. AJT, good point. The 60-meter hurdle world record needs to get broken. Listen, that world record, it's actually not too far off. If we're talking about the 60-meter hurdles, let me just bring up the women's 60-meter hurdles. That 60-meter hurdle world record is pretty close. We've had a couple people actually kind of get close to the world record. We have Susanna Color. She ran 7.68 just a couple years ago. I was just talking about 2018. Sharika Nelvis and Kenny Harrison ran 7.70 seconds at the World Indoor Championships is where Kenny Harrison ran 7.70, right? So who knows? Akira Nugent, she could break it. Like you said, Jay, yeah, she's going to be running at Millrose. We could see her break it. We could see Kenny Harrison. We could see, a couple other women. I don't know, but Masai Russell could get it. Devynne Charlton, who knows? But yeah, I think Akira Nugent, she's super close. 5th place, 7.72 seconds. She's super close to it. So we'll see how things kind of play out. But I agree. I want to see that 60-meter hurdle world record taken down. But yeah, we'll see how things kind of play out. In terms of Fred versus Noah, yeah, if Fred loses, that will be an upset. Is it true? Is that true? If Fred loses the 60-meter dash, is that really going to be an upset? We got to remember that Fred Carlie has never run the 60-meter dash, right? Fred Carlie has never run the 60-meter dash. Let me pull up Fred Carlie and just in terms of let's pull up both of them really. right? Fred Curlie, 9.76, and then Noah Lyles is 9.83. Let me pull up Noah Lyles here, right? So if we're talking about just head-to-heads in terms of a comparison, Fred Curlie, he's never on the 60-meter dash yet, but of course he does have his personal best of 9.76 outdoors. I mean, that's at a baseline. But Noah Lyles, of course, he only has a 100-meter personal best of 9.83, but he's run 6.51. Who did he beat last year at Boston? He beat out Trayvon Bromell, who also has a personal best of 9.76 seconds. And I think just a week after or 2 weeks after Noah Lyles beat Trayvon in at Boston, Trayvon went on to run 6.49 seconds or whatever it was. Like, listen, Noah is getting things together, right? He's kind of building things up. He's getting into the groove. I don't think it'll be an upset if Fred Curlie actually beats out. I don't think it'd be an upset if Fred Curlie loses to Noah, but I think it'll be a good race. Fred takes a long time to kind of get going. We'll see. We'll see. Both of them kind of have a slow start, but we'll see how things kind of play out with that. But yeah, like you said, AJT, if Fred's first official 60, so I don't know, probably will just depend on where they both are at training. Yeah, it's a good point. Who knows, right? Both of them post up their training stuff, but we don't know where they're really at. Last year, I think Noah Lyles did open up his 60-meter dash at some small meet in Florida before going to New Balance. I'm not sure if he's doing that this year, but listen, he says that New Balance track is his house. So it is what it is. We gonna see, but I like him. I like to see, but yeah, Jay, Fred will definitely beat him. He's this 9.7 guy. But at the end of the day, like I said, Trayvon Bromell, he's a 9.7 guy, right? Even to be fair, Christian Coleman beat Noah Lyles at the Milrose games, but he's a 9.7 guy, and Noah Lyles, he got DQ'd, but it was kind of close. I don't know. Fred Curlie, it's kind of mysterious. At this point, I'm not even sure who will truly win, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll be a very, very good race. And we have a couple other matchups hopefully throughout the year. Noah Lyles said that he's going for World Indoors. Fred Curlie, I doubt Fred Curlie will go for World Indoors. It doesn't seem like it'll make much sense for him to go through, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see when we get to there. But I think Fred Curlie really wants to step things up and be like, yo, I'm trying to dominate this 100 meters this year. Fred Curlie really, really wants to get back on top of that podium. He was not happy with not even making the final last year in Budapest. So this is definitely going to be a problem. Definitely going to be a problem. And if he starts off the 60-meter dash big, I mean, if he runs like 6.5 anything, that's a big deal for Fred Curlie if he runs any of that. So we'll see what goes down. But yeah, no, Kirsty is not going to have Kenny chasing a world record at Milrose. Probably not at Milrose. Maybe she'll run all the way through World Indoors though. And if she gets to USA's is at Albuquerque. That's at altitude again. At Milrose games, probably not. USA's maybe at altitude. When we get to Glasgow, maybe there she'll be able to tackle it. But we'll see. That world record is kind of tough, but we'll see. Obviously, everyone is focused on the Olympics, but we'll see how things kind of pan out. But yeah. But yeah, overall, just some highlights from the 2024 first week of the season. Couple pretty good results, but yeah, we'll try and get these going on a weekly basis just to recap some of the weeks, and then also do a couple different things. But stay tuned. I'm definitely going to be at a couple meets this year, going up to Boston, of course, to New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. I'll be there. Milrose Games, I'll be there. World Indoor Championships in Glasgow, I'll actually be there as well. And then, of course, NCAA Championships, we're going to be pulling up. That's going to be the first time that the NCAAs will be in the Northeast. They've always been at Arkansas or Texas A&M or, all these different tracks, Albuquerque, but it's coming to the Northeast for the first time since the 1970s, I think. So it's going to be a very, very big year for the NCAAs, and a very big year for all the athletes across the board with World Indoors as well. But appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tune in. I'm going to have a video hopefully coming out by the end of this week to talk about, again, NCAAs, the best NCAA meet in history. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, stay tuned, and yeah, we'll be back again next time. But appreciate all y'all for watching. Thanks, y'all. And yes, shout out to you, PKMS. I'm gonna be getting some good interviews. Yeah, check out Sidious Mag. I'll be doing the interviews for Sidious Mag, especially at New Balance. So stay tuned to their channel. Be sure to subscribe to their channel. I'm gonna be all over the Sidious Mag channel, getting the interviews at New Balance and Milrose and a couple others. So stay tuned for that. But appreciate y'all. Thanks, y'all.